Welcome to another episode of the AbleToServe series, and to have persons with disabilities in leadership positions. We've been discussing generally why it's important level of social cohesion for persons with disabilities, and that's why to actually bring them on. Today, we'll be discussing the impact of inclusive leadership and social cohesion. And our guest, Mr. Afam Kasim, right into the conversation. Can you provide a brief overview of what inclusive leadership is?
We enhance equal opportunity for everyone, equal opportunity in the area of job, equal opportunity in the area of accessing health facility, equal opportunity in the area of accessing even finances. Because when you discriminate against or when you exclude persons with disability or some certain set of people, one, they will not be employed, gainfully employed. They will not access health facility. They will not even access education. But if the leadership recognizes that persons with special needs or persons with disability or every person are important in society, you bring them in and they'll be able to access somebody who will speak for the general public, will be able to speak out for those who are not included. So generally, that's what I feel is inclusive society.
Thank you very much.
You know, sometimes I try to really make it clear when we talk about inclusive leadership that the inclusion we are talking about is not probably about tribe. Of course, it's equally good, but we try to make sure that everybody knows that we're talking about disability inclusion. That is having various clusters of persons with disabilities within your leadership space, cabinet, or whatever. That's what we're looking at. So, how does inclusive leadership, how is it different from the traditional leadership model we have in Nigeria? Let's look at the Nigerian context. All those in the Igbo culture, Yoruba culture, Hausa culture, we have the Igwes, the Obas, the Emirs, and all of that. How do you think how is it different?
The difference between the traditional setup that has social inclusion with probably the government of a particular government that don't have social inclusion. The difference is that the community that is in question now will not have sense of belonging because some set of persons are not included, because some set of group of persons are not included in the affairs of the community. So, but a community where these persons are included, you see that the persons with disability will have sense of belonging. They will contribute to the development of that particular society or that particular government. Whereas in the other government where these persons are excluded, they will grumble, they will complain, they will not contribute their own quota development of that society.
You know, Mr. Afam, within the traditional context, so I'm Igbo, okay, and I begin to wonder, okay, in my village, do we have that kind of leadership? Like, because I know that it's mostly hierarchical, and it's usually there's this traditional system of the top bottom. No, I think it's a bottom top approach or top. I don't know, but then it's usually someone up there giving commands and probably not getting to hear from anybody. So I just throw in my command here, and you just have to obey me. And it's different from the inclusive leadership we are preaching, because we want to have everybody on board. Like, how do you make decisions that are binding on me when I am not included? Just like you said, yeah. You want to say something?
I think it's time for us to begin to change that kind of leadership.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we live in a society where everybody are important now. Yeah. Everybody have the right to say whatever that is right for them to say. We don't have to live on one particular man who is totally in charge and give command from the top. And the society that we're in today does not recognize such kind of leadership. That is no longer inclusiveness. But inclusive society will bring everybody, whether you're a woman, whether you're a person with disability, whatever challenges that there is within the society, everybody should be involved. That's how I think it should be run.
I even have this thought let's leave the federal, let's leave the states, let's go to the communities. Now you know that most of these communities, you don't even, or probably most of the disability inclusion interventions that happen just at the state and at the national level, we hardly have anything at the community level. So how do we even push this message? These Igwes, the emirs, the sultans, all of the leaders, because I'm looking at it this way. If probably in the Igwe's cabinet, Igwe is very intentional about, I'm using Igwe because I'm Igbo, like I said. So if we are very intentional about having, in Igwe's cabinet, Igwe is intentional about having persons with disabilities. And then the Igwe subjects know that they have part of his cabinet members who are persons with disabilities. Then if you have to move upwards, we have a couple of persons with disabilities who are encouraged, even want to contest for elections at the local level. Now it comes up to the state level and then the national. So how do we really take this message to them? What kind of intervention would you think that these Igwes will respond to better?
The Igwes, I think they will respond to going to them with advocacy, having town hall meetings with the Igwe and the Igwe in council, or the traditional rulers and their lieutenants. If you have this meeting with them, you let them know the importance that these persons also have rights to contribute to the development of the community, because they are human beings first of all before the disability. Because disability, as we all know, does not affect their ability to perform even in Igwe's cabinet. So Igwe should be educated. The Igwe in council should also be educated. Then the community, because the community have to accept these persons with disability. Because at times Igwe might go on by his own to probably appoint a person with disability, or a woman for that matter. The community might not accept this person. So this group of persons, both Igwe and the Igwe in council and the community themselves, should be educated by organizing a meeting with them and discussing this. And we can also use the media. The media will play a great role in this aspect, using the local town hall and the radio and TV stations within the community to reach out to this person, so that they will imbibe this social inclusion in their cabinet.
But then beyond that, I totally agree with you. But beyond that, I've heard a couple of stories where persons with disabilities, they struggle with acceptance in the community. Even some of them, I've heard the story where someone said persons with, okay, not even persons with albinism, maybe persons that are physically, the persons with physical disabilities, they have probably they must have offended the gods that have been able to probably acquire that kind of disability. And there's an issue of acceptance. Now, behavioral change. Beyond the town halls, like beyond, this is probably town hall might be after one have attained some level of acceptance in the community. So how do you break this barrier?
Okay, taking it outside the town hall, for instance, schools can also help.
Okay.
Because it starts from school, because these children, before they will get to the age of accepting an appointment from the Igwes, some of them would have gone to school.
Yeah, sure.
Schools would also help in letting the pupils in school from nursery, primary, to know that this person is equally a human being like them. That the challenges they are facing is not, they didn't choose it by themselves, that they probably, either by accident or by birth, it could happen to anybody, because you don't know who will be the next person who will be a person with disability. Disability can come both with, from childbirth, and even as you are growing as an adult, you can become a person with disability at that point. So schools will help us to drive this. Hospitals can also help, because these women go to the hospital to give birth. During antenatal, women should also be educated that if you have a child that has disability, even after childbirth, accept that child, because discrimination starts from home. before the larger society will begin to discriminate. If persons with disability are not accepted from their various homes, they will also see the society rejecting them. So these areas we can help to alleviate this issue of disability in the society and discrimination against persons with disability in the community.
You know, someone shared something with me that was last year, and you might even know the woman. So she takes care of children with cerebral palsy. So she said something about she takes care of them very well. I actually have to give that credit to her. She said something about in the communities. She went to a certain community to speak to them about not discarding their children with cerebral palsy, and they were going to stone her. They were going to stone her. They don't want that. In fact, they feel that if you have a child with cerebral palsy, either it's a curse from whichever god that you worship, or you must have done something and you're being punished for it. And so they have a way of, they just throw away their children. So I had to ask her, how did you break into that place? That she had to go through some people that are educated in the community to get to the head of the community. Like, I couldn't believe that in this age and time we still have instances where people give birth to children simply because they're cerebral palsy, they're with cerebral palsy. You just choose to discard your child like that. Wow, that's really amazing. Well, so do you have any instance where inclusive leadership has helped? Probably there's an example you want to share where it has inclusive leadership made a significant impact in the community.
Okay, from what the story you just talked about the woman,
Yeah.
there's a community in FCT here, in Kudu Area Council. I have been there, where if a woman gives birth to a baby, and the woman dies during childbirth, they will bury the baby with the woman, alive, the baby alive with the woman, in FCT here. And we have a lot of children in that home there that were rescued from such. If a woman gives birth to a child with disability, that child will be sent to the evil forest. And it's not a lie, it's not far from us here. It happens here, it's in FCT here. And the woman she's not lying, that is a fact. Going back to your question, how do we
if you have any success story.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, there's a child in that community at Kwale Area Council where we visited one time that the family threw away, and the organization picked that child. I think that child is in university today. That's a success story from a child that has been thrown out because the mother died and during childbirth, and an organization picked that child up, and they were training they are beginning to train that child, and that child today, by the time the child will graduate and become probably an important person in the society, I know that child will bring campaign and to that community to begin to change their mindset, because he is a success story from that community, and they will be able to listen and hear him, because probably those who know his parents will also be alive. Those who know his story, how he was thrown out and somebody picked him up, will be alive. And by the time such person is talking about discrimination or against such kind of thing, the society and the community will listen and they will hear, they will believe him. So that's a success story I think I know of.
Yeah, hoping that we'll get more success stories, because we actually need that. But for a second, just wear the cap of a traditional leader for a second, okay? So how do you address the diverse needs of your community members as an inclusive leader? Just for a second, let's say you're a community leader from Obiago community. How to get that?
I think I will bring everybody on board.
Okay.
I will bring everybody on board. I will have somebody who will represent persons with disability, somebody who will represent the youth, somebody who will represent the women. Everybody will be on board. It is true that the whole community will not be in my council as a traditional ruler, no. But they will have persons who will represent them in that cabinet, who will speak with them. And as a traditional ruler, my office will be open to everybody who has one issue, whether you are part of the council or not. Will be open to everyone who has one thing or the other to offer that will help to give the community a success story. That's what I would do as a traditional ruler.
You know, I was at an event recently where I mentioned that, in recent past year, where I mentioned that most leaders play lip service to inclusive leadership. It's more like you verbally preach disability inclusion, and then structurally you exclude people. Do you understand? You maybe let's bring it down to our community. As a community leader, you say, oh, okay, I'm going to do inclusive leadership. I'll bring persons. I'm accepting every person with disability and bringing them on board. But then structurally you exclude them, because probably for me to even access your palace, I won't be able to, because there's some structurally you have excluded me. If I'm on wheelchair, I'm not able to access. Probably to get to you might be on the 10th floor, and there's no lift. There's nothing. We kind of we exclude them structurally. Even in academics, in every sphere, in the schools, in the communities, they exclude persons with disabilities, but then play lip service to what they're supposed to do for persons with disabilities. And whenever there is some free food or free rice to share, that is when persons with disabilities are remembered. And this boils down to what I usually say about media framing of persons with disabilities, how they are presented in the media as beggars. How about when you are building your cabinet? You bring in some of your cabinet members as persons with disabilities. Why bringing them in? You create an accessible structure that they can easily just access. They can easily get to you, and they feel among. They feel like, okay, you've really included me. And then you look beyond what I look like, what you think I look like, and let me make a decision. Let me contribute meaningfully to the growth of the entire community, beyond even the community of persons with disabilities. But then, talking about that, as a leader, I think if a leader is a person with disabilities, it's easier for you to know what to do in terms of including persons with disabilities. But then, as a leader without disability, what are the skills you think that the person should develop in order to cater for both persons with disabilities and persons without disabilities?
I think the best thing for a leader without disability to cater for persons with disability and all is for this leader to find out what happened in other societies. If you happen to go to some not even European countries, some African countries, you see that their law has imbibed persons with disability into, or the whole, part of